By the way, what President Trump has done on the record in terms of acting to advantage a foreign power to help him in his own election, and the obstruction of information about that, the cover-up, makes what Nixon did look almost small. Almost small. But again, an inquiry is an inquiry, and people come in and you hear what they have to say.
This is an injustice, a sham, a despicable, disgusting, repulsive, Schiff show. All right, today a great day for the United States, for the country, for the president. A lousy day for the corrupt, do nothing for 3 years, radical, extreme, socialist Democrats and their top allies, known as the media mob. Now, if you thought Robert Mueller's pathetic testimony, what's Fusion GPS, who's Jeannie Ray, was bad, well, what we saw today was even more pathetic, more desperate, and actually worse. Matter of fact, to coin a phrase, was a total shit show, if you know what I mean. And Capitol Hill and Democrats everywhere have reason to be worried tonight. It was such a disaster. They actually brought in therapy dogs, not making this up. They descended on Capitol Hill, presumably to help Democrats cope with their emotions. And believe it or not, the circus, this was supposed to be their big day. This was it. They brought in their cherry-picked witnesses, their exciting kickoff, their best shot to take this president down, get the country behind them, star witnesses, compelling evidence. None of that happened. The exact opposite happened. Now, we heard from two kind of self-important, uncompelling, well, seemingly more important than they really are, bureaucrats. They had no first-hand information whatsoever. When I mean none, I mean zero. Not one of them ever talked to the president, nor anyone near the president. We got tons of conjecture. Oh, hearsay upon hearsay. My cousin's uncle, son, daughter, grandpa, father told me. A lot of opinion, clear political bias, two individuals who seem to care more about Ukraine-first policies than America-first policies. That was a little shocking from the Democrats today. And despite all of the anti-psychotic rage Trump hearsay, a total lack of any evidence of any wrongdoing. We did confirm, though, some very important facts. Fact number one, over the course of multiple meetings with American officials, President Zelensky never at one time ever indicated U.S. aid was linked to an investigation into Biden and Burisma holdings. There was no linkage, none, just the opposite. 3 meetings after the call, we now have the transcript, with the new president and President Trump, President Zelensky thought it was a great call. Said repeatedly, never felt any pressure at all from anyone to do anything. Fact number two, President Zelensky never announced an investigation into Burisma or the Bidens. Now, with the congenital liar, Adam Schiff, compromised, corrupt coward that he is, he was saying that the aid was held up until the new president did this. He never did it. And 3, the aid was dispensed to Ukraine unconditionally. Ouch. And 4, Zelensky has repeatedly denied that the president ever coerced Ukraine in any way, shape, manner, or form. Let me make this simple for the corrupt idiots known as the Democrats and their allies in the media mob. This just makes you look really dumb, bad, stupid, and shallow, and shows how corrupt you all are. And just hours ago, Congressman Jim Jordan, Ohio, totally exposed the sham hearing, and today's star witness. Take a look at this.
Ambassador Taylor recalls that Mr. Morrison told Ambassador Taylor that I told Mr. Morrison that I conveyed this message to Mr. Yarmouk on September 1st, 2019 in connection with Vice President Pence's visit to Warsaw and a meeting with President Zelensky. We got 6 people having 4 conversations in one sentence, and you just told me this is where you got your clear understanding. Even though you had 3 opportunities with President Zelensky for him to tell you, you know what? We're going to do these investigations to get the aid. Didn't tell you 3 different times. Never makes an announcement, never tweets about it, never does a CNN interview. Ambassador, you weren't on the call, were you? You didn't listen to President Trump's call and President Zelensky's call?
I did not.
You never talked with Chief of Staff Mulvaney?
I never did.
You never met the president?
That's correct.
You had 3 meetings again with Zelensky and it didn't come up.
And 2 of those they had never heard about, as far as I know.
And you're their star witness. You're their first witness. You're the guy. You're the guy. Based on this, I mean, I've seen church prayer chains that are easier to understand than this. Ambassador Taylor recalls that Mr. Morrison told Ambassador Taylor that I told Mr. Morrison and I conveyed this message to Mr. Yarmouk on September 1st, 20. This all happens, by the way. In Warsaw, where Vice President Pence meets with President Zelensky, and guess what?
Taylor,
they didn't talk about any linkage either.
I see everything on the corrupt, compromised, coward, congenital liar's face. How do I stop this? Taylor relied on hearsay and conjecture at least 17 times during his testimony. That's not evidence. You talk about playing a game of telephone. That's the compelling evidence that they provided, that a duly elected president of the United States of America deserves to be impeached, that we're going to overturn the will of the people? Really? And by the way, the Ukrainian president told Ambassador Taylor he was happy, told him the next day, he was happy. The call went great with President Trump. Now, you know, the same phone call the Democrats claimed, remember they were telling us it's going to be filled with smoking gun quid pro quos and extortion. Take a look.
And did President Zelensky raise any concerns about his views of the call?
he said, Ambassador Volker, Ambassador Sondland were in his office, and we asked him, I think, how the call, he said, call was fine. I was happy with the call.
I was happy with the call. Maybe that's why today's anti-Trump star witnesses were not able to identify a single impeachable offense. This was a pretty special moment. Let's take a look.
So, in this impeachment hearing today, where we impeach presidents for treason or bribery or other high crimes, where is the impeachable offense in that call? Are either of you here today to assert there was an impeachable offense in that call? Shout it out. Anyone?
Crickets. There, no quid pro quo whatsoever, which is exactly what U.S. Ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, told Ambassador Taylor over the phone. The president, he said, he actually used the term, the president was very, very clear. I will read it to you. Oh, I want no quid pro quo. This is the guy that they were referring, that they heard the conversations with. The president said to him, I want no quid pro quo. Watch this.
In that text message, Ambassador Sondland says to call him after you wrote that. Did you, in fact, call him?
I did.
And what did he say to you?
He said that I was wrong about President Trump's intent, that there was no quid pro quo.
Now, Steve Castor, the attorney that was representing the House Republicans, who you just saw in that clip, did a fantastic job just cutting through that BS. There were a lot of moments like that, and got us to the truth. So did many Republican stars in the Intel Committee. Great day for Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes, Ratcliffe, Mark Meadows outside the hearing, a beat down of the media that they deserved. These people try to piece together something out of nothing. It's like a thing of beauty. In fact, today's hearing was so terrible for the Democrats, one Democratic congressman actually tried to argue hearsay evidence is better than direct evidence. You can't make this up. Take a look.
I think the American public needs to be reminded that countless people have been convicted on hearsay because the courts have routinely allowed and created needed exceptions to hearsay. Hearsay can be much better evidence than direct.
Well, gentlemen, yield because none of those exceptions were applied in this testimony.
Yeah, it's usually not admissible either, but hearsay is better than direct testimony. So in other words, what that guy told this guy that told that guy that told that guy that told you is better? These people are sick. A disaster for Democrats. She can see it coming a mile away. The left is blinded by their rage, psychotic hate at Trump. They have been for 3 years. They've done nothing for the American people. They don't care about facts. Obviously, justice matters not. Hypocrisy's fine because they don't care about Hunter and Joe, real quid pro quo Joe. And every second of every single hour of every 24-hour day, they just hate the president. And at the beginning of the hearing today, the ranking member, Devin Nunes, he summed it up pretty perfectly. Take a look.
We're supposed to take these people at face value when they trot out a new batch of allegations. But anyone familiar with the Democrats' scorched earth war against President Trump would not be surprised to see all the typical signs that this is a carefully orchestrated media smear campaign. The witnesses deemed suitable for television by the Democrats were put through a closed-door audition process in a cult-like atmosphere in the basement of the Capitol. Let's recall, for years they accused the Trump campaign of colluding with Russia when they themselves were colluding with Russia by funding and spreading the Steele dossier, which relied on Russian sources. And now they accuse President Trump of malfeasance in Ukraine when they themselves are culpable. The Democrats cooperated in Ukrainian election meddling, and they defend Hunter Biden's securing of a lavishly paid position with a corrupt Ukrainian company, all while his father served as vice president.
By the way, when the hoax came up empty, they switched to Plan C and D and E, and that's Ukraine, because they had an insurance policy. Same ship, different day. What was your reaction to everything today? Because I thought it was a Schiff show.
It really was. I mean, I've never seen anything more ridiculous. You see exactly what America voted against in 2016. Career government bureaucrats doing their thing. There's no fact base. Everything was hearsay. I heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend. I'm saying, this is a joke. I mean, this is their lead, Sean. And then I heard the Democrats, and this is when you realize how bad or frankly non-existent their case is. Well, hearsay is oftentimes much better than regular evidence. I'm saying, did that guy say that with a straight face? Like,
direct
in the
evidence.
halls of Congress?
Yeah.
Hearsay? Meaning, like the telephone game that we learned about in kindergarten is better than actual direct evidence. So it's better to have heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend than to have heard it with your own ears. I mean, that's the level of insanity that you're seeing from these bureaucrats who've taken an anti-Trump position. They're being, led, badgered, and bullied by Schiff to give them what they want because the mainstream media will carry their water and function as the marketing wing of the Democrat Party. They'll say whatever it is just to get out of there. When the Republicans start questioning, Adam Schiff changes the rules, changes the goalposts, pretends that they can't even ask that question anymore. It's never ending. I mean, it's a comedy at this point. It's so ridiculous, and it's exactly what the American people have needed to see, because if you didn't buy it the first time, if you didn't buy it the second time, with all the hoaxes, with Russia version 1, 2, and all the collusion nonsense we heard about, that was gospel. It was fact. For 3 years, you're going to believe it this time, Sean, because this time it's different.
Same ship, different day. Only people who aren't curious about Jeffrey Epstein's death appear to be members of the press. Over at The Nation, Gene Heer, maybe the single dumbest person in the press corps, tweeted that Epstein skeptics were being recruited by, quote, fascists. You're a fascist if you have questions. Shut up and stop asking questions, says the reporter. Countless other publications dismiss questions about his death as a conspiracy theory. But it isn't just cranks and people in tinfoil hats who are asking honest questions about Jeffrey Epstein. Plenty of physicians, for example, have questioned the official version given to us in the autopsy report. Sometimes they even ask those questions on this program.
The breaking of a hyoid bone, and I've tried strangulation cases. That's classic in a strangulation, not in a hanging. So there is a rush here. I don't know if it's to shut it down, but it makes no sense to me as a prosecutor.
And then, not that long after that, Dr. Michael Baden, the famous pathologist, revealed an independent autopsy review which added to those theories and bolstered those questions. Watch.
I think that the evidence points toward homicide rather than suicide.
Why?
Because there are multiple 3 fractures in the hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage, that are very unusual for suicide.
The breaking of a high...
Dr. Mark Siegel is the man we go to get our medical questions answered. He's a Fox Medical contributor. He's helped us understand this story from the beginning. He joins us tonight. So, hi, Doctor. You believe in science, of course. You're a physician, a researcher. You're a man of science. Does it make you nervous when people say, don't ask too many questions? This is settled, and we don't want to hear your questions. It's just if you have questions, shut up and stop asking questions, says the reporter.
First thing that comes to my mind is, what might they be hiding? What might they be not wanting to release because they don't know what the public's reaction is going to be? And I, as a scientist and a physician, want the public to know. I want the brother to know, but I want the public to know. What's going on here? Why, as Dr. Baden says, are the 3 fractures that occurred in the neck much more common in a homicide, rather than a sheet hanging off of a bunk bed where you have to be contorted at a strange angle? What about the hemorrhages that Dr. Baden, who observed the autopsy, found in his eyes? What about the marks that were found on the neck? What does all that mean? Why did 2 guards fall asleep simultaneously and he's left unobserved for 2 hours? We're supposed to believe that. What about the video cameras being turned off miraculously? And one more thing that no one has ever said on this show before, how come the person who did the autopsy and at first did not have a ruling of suicide is not the one who issued the report? Her boss issued the report and called it a suicide a few days later. What changed? What's the information here that we don't know? I want all of this information released. The Bureau of Prisons next week is going to be testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. I want them to be grilled on this. What information hasn't been released here?
Well, we shouldn't sweep it under the rug. And I never ask you political questions because I don't think of you as a political man. But what a shame this is, that it's becoming a political issue. Why is it only on Fox News that we're asking these questions? Why is the left demanding that we shut up and stop questioning the ruling class? Do you think, that's not healthy, is it?
No, and especially in a situation like this, where there's been 1 suicide in this prison in 40 years, and homicides for known sexual predators occur regularly, and where his cellmate was a known murderer who had murdered 3 or 4 other people, was whisked out of the room. All of these facts, as you've said, belong on a Columbo episode.
Of course
How could this be swept under the rug? Why would someone have a political agenda here? Public wants to know the truth. What really happened here?
They don't want to know.
We don't know.
She here is telling us you're a fascist if you have questions. Very
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's just if you have questions, shut up and stop asking questions, says the reporter.
But while we are creating jobs and killing terrorists, the radical left, Democrats, is ripping our country apart. They're trying to overthrow American democracy and erase the votes of tens of millions of Americans. First it was the Russia hoax. Then it was the Mueller witch hunt. You remember that one? So far, much more than 100%, because it goes before the election ever took place. We've been going through this from before the election took place. A bunch of bad people. And then one of the single greatest lies ever told by anybody in this government, and I think one of the great scandals right from the beginning, all of the things that they've been doing, and now the absolutely crazed lunatics, the Democrats, radical left, and their media partners standing right back there. Are pushing the deranged impeachment witch hunt for doing nothing wrong. Doing nothing wrong. You know, we did nothing wrong, and they're doing nothing. So true. They haven't done a thing since Nancy Pelosi is Speaker. They haven't done a thing. But once again, their lies will be exposed, just like the last times. Their schemes are already unraveling. You saw yesterday. How about when they asked these two never-Trumpers, what exactly do you think you impeach him for? And they stood there and went like, what? But they're unraveling, and their sinister plans will fail. They've already failed as far as I'm concerned. In fact, so as I'm getting out of that beautiful airplane, Air Force One, it is a beautiful plane. This just came out. Big story. New remarks from top Ukrainian official damages Democrats' impeachment narrative. Just came out. I only read it because they don't like to report stories like this, you know about that. Because we're fighting the Democrats, but much more difficult to fight is the fake news, I'm telling you. And they're a partnership. I call them a partnership made in hell.
Shut up and stop asking questions, says the reporter.
Here it is. Ukrainian foreign minister said on Thursday, listen to this though, and they won't even want to report it. It's that because it ends it. It ends it. It's all about that. Ukrainian foreign minister said on Thursday that the United States ambassador did not link financial military assistance to a request for Ukraine to open up an investigation into former vice president and current Democratic president. Can you believe? Like, we need help to beat Sleepy Joe Biden? I don't think so. You know? Last election, by the way, I hate to say this, but now I have a lot of experience because experience is important. But talent is more important than experience, right? But I had no experience. Last election, we took down the Bush dynasty. It's okay. With no experience. Bush dynasty. Then we took down the Clinton dynasty. Then we took down the very crooked Obama group. So we took down Bush, Clinton, Obama with no experience, but I had you, and we won. So think about that. And then think about me. Gee, let's get some help from Ukraine in order to beat Sleepy Joe Biden. I don't think so.
We choose truth over facts.
So, just to finish this up. So there was nothing, no link, no nothing to presidential candidate Sleepy Joe Biden. I added the word sleepy. Because this is a serious deal here. And his son, Hunter Biden. Hunter, where's Hunter? What happened to Hunter? I think he made more money than anybody in history for somebody with absolutely no talent or experience. He's number one in the world. Okay, the ambassador did not tell us, and certainly did not tell me, about a connection between the assistance and the investigation. Never said. In other words, nothing happened. I have never seen a direct relationship between the investigations and security assistance. So they have said now nothing happened. And yet, you don't even read this. Now, it only came out a little while ago, in all fairness. I'll give him a chance. Can you report this tonight and tomorrow, please?
Shut up up and stop asking questions, says the reporter.
So if Pelosi were honest, which she's not, and if Shifty Schiff, little Shifty Schiff, she's got the little 10-inch neck. What size shirts do you need, Adam? I wear a size 9. 9. He will not make the LSU football team, that I can tell you. Boom. And the neck is gone. Now, he's a bad guy. He's a dishonest guy. He's the guy that went up and fabricated a whole story and read what I supposedly said to the new and very good, I think, new Ukrainian president. And Adam Shifty Schiff went up and he made up, think of it, he made up my statement. And it was horrible what he said. And he finished it by saying, you don't call me, I'll call you. I said, where did this come from? He's sick. He's sick. But then one thing happened. Here's what happened. You know what happened. I said, I better release the real call. So they had transcribers. The call is perfect. And we released it. And that was the beginning of the end for them. They are disgraced. Now, they're just dishonest people. And honestly, they hurt our country incredibly badly. Because I don't like releasing calls with other presidents and prime ministers. You don't like to do that. You don't want to do that, but you had to. Because he totally fabricated, he made up my conversation. He's a thief, he's a crook. And you know what? He's a corrupt politician, and frankly, he should be prosecuted. The only problem is he has immunity because he's a congressman, and he made the statement in the halls of Congress. He made the statement while in that great, beautiful building, so therefore he has immunity. So he can be crooked as hell. In the meantime, they gave the Republicans, who, by the way, have really stuck together. It's a beautiful thing to see. So we don't have rights to lawyers. We don't have rights to anything. We don't have rights to... It's the most incredible thing. But you know what? By them being so ridiculous, people see we've been taken away. Our due process has been taken away. But here's what we have. We have truth. We have the fact that everything is absolutely perfect. Perfect.
I thought it was a Schiff show.
And based on the poll numbers and other numbers, but based on the poll numbers, the people of this country aren't buying it. You see it, because we're going up and they're going down. Let's keep it going for a while. Let's keep it going for a while. I mean, I have one problem, and it's been very hard on my family. Whoever heard, impeachment to me is a dirty word. It's been very unfair, very hard on my family. Me, it's my whole life, it's crazy. What a life I lead. You think this is fun, don't you? But it's been very hard on my family, very, very hard. But I'll tell you what I found. The Republicans, they stick together. They have really stuck. But you know what they're doing now? The Republicans are coming. Sir, our poll numbers are going through the roof. Do you think we could keep this going? I said, do me a favor, let's get it ended. They said, but let's keep it going, President. It's so great. Because we've never had a time like this. I got a call from the evangelical leaders the other day. A whole lot of them. They said, the church has never been more energized as it is right now because of what they're trying to do to our president. Ever. So we have a great group of Republicans, but I said, you know, fellas, I don't know. But they actually said, let's keep this sucker going for a while, Mr. President. I said, I don't know, something nice about ending it, but it's dirty stuff. But let me just say, with this from the Ukrainian, right here, from the Ukrainian president and the Ukrainian foreign minister, this is the whole ballgame. So in theory, they should end it tonight. But they won't. They'll find something. They'll find something. These are very dishonest people. Democrats are trying to overthrow the last election because they know they're not going to win the next election. That's all it is.
the only cure for that Trump derangement syndrome is 4 more years.
The Democrats in Washington are trying to stop me because I'm fighting for you. Fighting for you. They're attacking and they don't. That's what he just said. They don't care about us. Who said that? Raise your hand. That's right. They don't. They don't care. And they don't care about African Americans. They talk. They work for the African American very hard 2 months before an election. And then people don't hear from them anymore. And remember when I said, what the hell do you have to lose? Remember that? They said that, they saw that, and you know what happened. We have the best employment numbers and the best unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Records. And they're attacking me, and they're attacking the Republican Party, really. It's an attack on the whole party. Because I'm taking on the broken establishment and restoring government's loyalty to the people. If you want to see what corruption looks like, just watch the video of Sleepy Joe and watch him as he brags about withholding $1 billion in aid money to Ukraine until Ukraine fires the prosecutors, gets rid of the prosecutor that's been going after his son and his son's company in Ukraine. His son got millions of dollars from a company. See how much he made before the father was vice president. So, no experience, no nothing, millions of dollars, paid approximately $168,000 a month, plus millions of dollars with no experience. Would anybody here take that job? I think so. I think so. I think I might take that job, okay? That's a good job. And then Hunter flew to China. You know, we're making a great deal with China, or we're taking in billions in tariffs. I can live either way. They want to make the deal much more than I do. But he flew to China with his father on Air Force Two, which is a slightly smaller version of Air Force One. And while the vice president was going soft on China, his son picks up $1.5 billion for his stupid fund that he never did before. Meaning he could make tens of millions of dollars a year. And I was with the top Wall Street people the other day. They love us because we're setting records every week virtually in this office. So, which, by the way, means companies coming in and jobs, jobs, jobs. That's what it's about. But I was with the top guys and I was talking to them, and these are guys that do this for a living. I said, can you go into China and pick up $1.5 billion in 10 minutes? They said, impossible. I said, well, supposing like you guys, can you do it? Can't do it. Can't do it. But a guy with no experience can do it, and the fake news doesn't even want to write about it. But it will become a major campaign issue. It will become a major campaign issue. Americans deserve, assuming he wins, which I hope he does. I mean, the only problem is we will have the lowest ratings in the history of debates. Because he's a very sleepy person. He's exhausted. Joe is exhausted. Americans deserve to know the truth, but the fake news media, they're covering it up like they've never covered it up before, ever in the history of our country. In fact, I saw a report today. We kill al-Baghdadi, the worst terrorist, head of ISIS, founder of ISIS, building a new ISIS. We were the ones that took 100% of the caliphate. When I took it over, ISIS was all over the place. We defeated 100% of the caliphate, right? When we took down al-Baghdadi 2 weeks ago, they said President Trump, out of the stories written, had 64% bad publicity. How do you get bad publicity? Not only that, We killed him. We didn't lose one of our 68 incredibly talented soldiers. And the fake news gave me bad publicity. We can't win. The other thing, one of the papers, the Washington Post, which is a terrible newspaper, started talking about al-Baghdadi as a great religious leader. Oh, give me a... If the other side would have killed him, he would have been the worst human being ever created. But he was a bad guy, and we got him, and that's the way we want him. That's why we are more determined than ever to drain the swamp, and that's what we're doing, draining the swamp.
Same time the Schiff show was going on. Same time the Schiff show was going on. Same ship, different day.